to see some Matchbox porn? Then you've come to the right place. Yes, plenty more where this came from. Look at that. Oh, suits you, sir. Brand new, unopened, completely still sealed from the factory. Oh, you want it, you know you do. Disgusting. Well, you can't have it because it's mine. Welcome back to the channel, folks. Thank you for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. And today, more Matchbox. March. So, I've decided to do things slightly differently than I did it last year. Last year I sort of did Matchbox March and I did all the purple range. And it was, the only problem with it was, it's very good actually if you want to go back and look at stuff because it says purple range aircraft. So it's a good resource for, you know, things like the artwork of the original kits. It's not so good though. I mean, one or two of you are really keen on the armour kits. Some of you are not really interested in that and want to look at the aircraft. And it meant that we didn't get as good an audience as we might have done, I think. And it was also, it didn't have that much variety in it. So I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it in a much less structured way, basically. Excuse me. I'm just having a mug of tea. I've got my lovely British Legion poppy mug here. Hope you don't mind me having a slurp of tea. Nothing else in it, I promise. So what we're going to do, we're going to do it a bit differently. I'm going to do it a bit more random. And I've just been pulling out my lost ark of Matchbox kits, and there's a lot of it. And I can't get all of it out, but I'll get more of it out than perhaps you've seen before, maybe in one go. But I'm going to have to do this in bite-sized videos because we'll be here for about 6-7 hours. So I'm going to try and keep it down to about 45-minute videos and perhaps do several, maybe 7 or 8, and we'll take it from there. So today we're going to have variety. So we're going to have some armour, we're going to have some aircraft and so on and so forth. Try and mix it up. We'll try and get the cars out as well. Just remember I haven't got those out yet. Well, I thought what summed it up for me when I was just about an hour ago before filming this. I've got this really big beautiful white box. It's a really nice outer box. It's an outer of an outer. So these are all cartoned and then they're put in outer boxes. And this outer box that I just got out was actually something that was a very expensive gift I received some years ago, and I decided the box was too good to throw away. And it's white, glossy, and I'm using it. It has a handle and everything, and it just brought it home to me because it says on the side "Lost Ark number 47," and I thought, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. There's a lot of boxes, a lot of boxes that all this stuff I've got is in. So, what you're going to see some fairly scruffy ones. Nothing I've built it up to be something fancy, but you won't see that because I've broken it down to the inner boxes, and they're just fairly scruffy boxes, to be honest. But they're not inside. They're all really good for the models, and most of them have got. I don't know if we've got any. You'll see in a second. We've got this silica gel packs that prevent any moisture, you know. But I thought I'd start today. So this is going to call this episode 2, Matchbox March. I'm going to start today by talking about. I thought. I'm a big ambassador, obviously, for the Matchbox brand, not official one, of course, because they're long gone. But yeah, I am a huge super fan, and I know a lot of you are exactly the same. But one or two things that people often ask me, I've had a few interesting questions. Just since the first show, one of you has asked me about which is the best. Was it Jason that asked this? He said, why don't you do recommendations for people who've never done a Matchbox kit before, or starters? Which one's the easiest to build? Build? What's he talking about? Almighty! May God forgive his soul for saying such a ridiculous and irresponsible thing. Well, I'm not sure I'll be recommending building any of them, because you know what happens every time you build. Look at that! It's an original, absolutely. Actually, it's not an original, that one. I just realised because it's got the shrink wrap on it. It's not a Mark 1 box. It's got no window on the back, so I better be quiet. Change the subject. But some of these others are originals. Look at this, 1974, is it? 73, 74? A Jag. Talk about Jags in a minute. 73? 73. Look at that. An absolute mint example. And you wonder why I wear gloves, yeah? You don't want to be building those because you'll never get them back. You'll never be able to easily get another one. I mean, I've got things like the Jaguar and the Buccaneer I've got in front of me. I've got 3 examples of each, and 2 of the examples are pretty much mint, you know. You get subtle differences. We're going to talk about the differences in a minute, and the varieties and the variations in the production, which are I think is worthy of talking about. With these colours, having coloured plastic means that things can go wrong, you know. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about my favourites. I'm not going to do a big thing about my favourites and do like a top 10 countdown or anything like that. I'll just tell you as I go along which are my personal favourites, and I will dig out. I just realised actually I've got the Corsair. I've not put my unpainted Corsair, so I'll do that in the next episode. I'll get the unpainted Corsair out here and we'll have a look at the before and after kit, before it's built and after. Anyway, let's talk about this variations thing, because I think some of you find that very interesting if you haven't encountered it yourself. Sometimes, whether it was Friday afternoon sickness or... We've got to remember, this is the 1970s we're talking about here, and there were a lot of problems in industry generally and unionisation. I'm not suggesting that Matchbox suffered from that particularly, Lesney. But sometimes things, especially on a Friday afternoon, could be... Maybe things slip through the net in a QC way. And of course Matchbox were known for the very high level of QC. You know, the beautiful artwork, the print quality, the lack of flash. So it's kind of they've got everything, all the hard stuff they'd got right at the beginning, and it's just down to pilot human error when they're, you know, injection moulding. So sometimes you got strange things happening, like colours that were variable, or where they actually mixed up the colours. It's as though they've got the, you know, I'm going to show you an actual example in a few minutes, but you've got a machine that's doing white plastic, a machine that's doing blue, another machine that's doing pale blue, and somebody's connected it, you know, they've gone off, or one's finished his shift, another one's come in, it's run out, so it's dried up and the machine's shut down, let's say, hypothesising here, but bear with me. And the next guy comes in after they start his shift at say 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon and connects them up the wrong way to the wrong tool for injection moulding. Now this must have happened when I'm saying to you, and I'll show you in a minute, I'll prove it to you. And one or two of you I know have told me some funny stories in the past about some of the most bizarre colour mixers and ones where they're nothing like the colours that are shown on the box and all that kind of thing. But I'll give you a couple of examples. So I'm going to talk about variation in Matchbox kits today to start with, and then I'll get into showing you lots of stuff. First variation, so we've got the Jags here. Now I just want to, a quick word for Airfix. Airfix, just going off the subject of Matchbox, their big rival. Airfix, of course, have finally decided they're going to produce this new Jaguar GR1, GR1A, and they'd actually put an advert out in the last 48 hours, and it does look really good. I've got to say, I'm looking forward to this. And I have to say that it's almost certainly going to be a better kit than the Matchbox Jag, which wasn't their finest hour, and I'll explain as we go along anyway. So keep your eyes open for the Jaguar from Airfix, and I'll just tell you a funny story which is true. When I was at the recent Nantwich Universal Model Show, South Cheshire Militaire, I was saying to people, several people, Colin Berry was there, David Mummery was there, quite a lot of you were there, Martin Mountford was there, loads of you were there actually. Some of you didn't introduce yourselves, so I can't recall everybody's name. Simon was there, from Simon's Model Shed. Anyway, I spoke to many, and I was saying to people, do you like the look of the new Jag from Airfix? And say, oh yeah, it looks amazing. I was like, right, £5 please. And they say, what? Yeah, I said, no, you got to pay me £5. You've got to pay me £5. I have been badgering, bullying, begging, pleading, praying for this model to come for 3 years. I've been talking to Airfix since late 22 about it, and I was emailing him about it in writing in 23, early mid 23. Poor old Dale, I think he felt bombarded. But so I say to people, right, so basically I now have to get my my cut. I think that you all owe me a £5 each, you know, so I'll have £5 from you, I'll have £5 from you. And then Spencer Pollard was there, and I was too shy to ask him. He'd probably slap me, you know. But I can't remember getting many £5, so you weren't very grateful between you, but anyway, there we go. But yes, it's fair to say that I, and David as well actually, were very strong in our vocal volume about the need for that kit, and I'm delighted to see that Airfix is in it. I'm really looking for it. It's due very soon, very soon. I think we'll see it in a matter of weeks. Looking forward to that. And I'll now explain why Matchbox on this one didn't quite get it right, because they, as they did with the Alpha Jet, they based their kit on the prototype Jaguar, the sort of Anglo-French prototype that was at the air show in Paris in 1970, I think it was. And there's a number of things wrong with it. So let me show you. I'll zoom you in. Enough of me chatting, and I'll zoom you in a bit, and we'll just move that. I showed that at the beginning because somebody was asking for my email address. It's on there, so you can. Was it the gentleman that said? Was it Bobby? Bobby was saying, "Do you want the Walrus to review?" Which I haven't checked. Did I do the Walrus? I can't remember. I can't remember if somebody's already given me that as a loan, not to keep. But I can't remember if I've done it or not. But anyway, I'll check. But by all means, email me on that. So, variability. I suppose if you are adding complication into a production process, and as I say, Matchbox got all the basics right, really good moulds that were very clean, flash free, and the kits tended to go together brilliantly well, especially at the price point that they were at. You know, they were cheap as chips, quite literally. But you know, when you've got multiple colours, you're adding a lot of complication, and you're actually introducing the opportunity for things to go wrong. But the first thing I just want to show you on these Jaguars, so I've got three, but I've got two of them out in front of me. These two are the nicer ones. Both 1973. On the face of it, no difference. But have a close look at the artwork first of all. Well, not the artwork itself, but more the graphics. Let me zoom you in on this. And you see, so this is before we get into the plastic, which will come in a second. So look very carefully on these Jags, and look at the bottom left where it says 3-colour kit. Can you see? So the top one, this is both issued in the same year, but the top one is in white where it says 3-colour kit, and the bottom one's in orange, which is really interesting. And I can't see any reason for it. Now, I actually think the white was the original. So whether it was just again something at the printers that went a bit haywire. I think the print registration is kind of, it's a bit sharper on the bottom one, isn't it, actually? But, I mean, we are splitting hairs here about nothing, really. But let's have a look at the plastic, though, because obviously we've got this lovely window. I know you all want to see let's give you that one, I think is the best one. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a zoom in on this. So here we got our Jaguar. Now, the other problem that we got is this, it's got this long Matra rocket pod underneath, which is very much in the style. Well, it's a French one. It's a French Sneb Matra rocket pod. And these were exactly like the ones, I think they were, exactly like the ones that they sold to Israel that were used on the Mirage 3C. And they were used in the 6-Day War, if you remember, on my Mirage. I actually had to scratch build a pair of those, like Airfix used to have on their 72nd scale kit. If you ever had the Airfix dogfight doubles, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the point I'm making is, when you look again at this Matra rocket pod underneath, it is nothing that the Royal Air Force were using at all, and I think it's supposed to be at Coltishall. It doesn't say Coltishall. 54 Squadron in 1973. Well, that's Coltishall, but that is, or is it Lucas? They actually arrived. Was it Lucas or Lossiemouth? Lossiemouth, wasn't it? They arrived at Lossiemouth for about 3 months, and then they were all transferred to Coltishall. So it could actually. Maybe it's supposed to be Lossiemouth because there's hills in the background, and do you know, I never noticed this. I'm actually literally just spotting it now. So I think that's supposed to be Lossiemouth in Scotland, in fact. And as I say, they then went to Coltishall because there's certainly no hills in the back of Coltishall, I can tell you, in Norfolk. So that's an interesting point. But anyway, going back to the Matra pod down the middle here. We've seen this on the same mistake was made recently by Kinetic on the Harriers, wasn't it? On their 48 scale Harrier models. It's got the warheads of the rockets sticking out, which they never do on RAF, even on the small Matra Sneb pods that we use on like the Harrier and the Phantoms and etc. in the 70s. But this setup was never used. This one, some of you might know this better than I do. Is it the Magic missile, the French one? That's definitely not an RAF issue missile either. So this is basically, you're actually seeing the French prototype aircraft in Royal Air Force colours. and it says 73, but I don't think that image, or I'm certain the prototype was earlier than 73, it was 70, 71, I think. I've actually got, to show my age now, this is going to be a bit scary for some of you. I've actually got in an old scrapbook, I've got the Jaguar, official Seppacat Jaguar promo sheet. I don't know what it was from. I'm trying to think. It was in black and white. It's a full sheet. It's almost like from a newspaper, and it's got all these photographs of it. It's got some French ones on there as well, some RAF ones, and it shows it at different angles. And it's like a promo for Jaguar, and it says it's got an advert at the bottom for BAC, Dassault. Was it Dassault? The other company that was in the partnership with them. And yeah, it's remarkable. Really, I remember seeing this and it was like, this is brand new, cutting edge. When I put this in the scrapbooks, that shows how old I am. Anyway, I'm sort of digressing, but let's have a look at the plastic inside, because I want to show you something when I talk about variations that I think you'll find quite interesting. Because I think you're going to get a hint of it straight away. If I zoom you in, before I take the box, open it up completely, have a look at this. Let's have a little cheeky little glance here. Look through the window in both cases. What do you see? Well, I can tell you that we've got a plastic in two different colours. It's supposed to be the same colour. And it's almost like the pigmentation or the colouring in the plastic has gone a bit awry. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom you back and open it up and let you see exactly what I'm talking about. And then, trust me, this is before we get into the real problem with variable colours. I shouldn't sound like I'm moaning, because I love these things, as you well know. Very gentle. Got our ubiquitous Matchbox stand. Have we got any clear parts? Oh, yes, it's just dropped out. Oh, it's not on a sprue. Just got our little canopy there, which actually looks very good, to be fair. Let me just zoom in on this. See? Look at that. That's actually quite a nice canopy, in fairness. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, I like that. Yes, very good. Now, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this sprue. Is it that one or is it that one? Or am I wrong? Have I seen this wrong through the... I might have made a mistake here. I thought we had two different shades of brown is what I'm driving at. Let's just put the other one out. I mustn't mix them up. Just bear with me, let me see me back. See what's going on. It looked through the, unless it was an optical illusion through the window, but it looks like there's two different shades of brown, which wouldn't be the first time, quite frankly, because we had things like that in the Harry and the Hurricane. Let's just try this one out. Put that there and this one over here. So, are they the same colour? In fact, everything else is the same. And whoops, feels quite flimsy. This does, I've got to say. Here we go. Sounds like I've got delivery outside or something. Maybe not for me. So here's your Jaguar wings. Yeah. But what I was interested in was the colouring, because I didn't think that they did not look the same. No, I think I might be splitting hairs. There is a, I don't know if you can tell. There is a slight difference, but it's not as extreme as I believed it was. Okay, so that's okay. But I'm not done. Before you think, what the devil's he blabbing on about, you're going to see that actually I was right. I was looking at the wrong one. Let me show you this. So here we've got our sprue. That goes to there. Let's not mix them up, chaps. That goes to there and that goes to there. So here we've got our sprue for... So be very careful, I don't want to mix these up. This is the sprue for all the weapons and the wheels and things and the landing gear. Now here you go. So here you've got these rather bizarre French missiles which have got nothing to do with the RAF at all. I mean the Jags usually carried underwing tanks or bombs, but they wouldn't have carried that type of missile for sure. Maybe a Sidewinder. Although I think they came later. It doesn't even look like a British one, does it? Anyway, focus your mind, as you're looking at these images, focus your mind on the colour. And then let me introduce to you the wonder of Matchbox variability. In the other kit, where everything else is the same, we've got a completely different colour. Can you see? So yeah, it wasn't my imagination. If I put them side by side like that, but it makes it a bit easier to understand. there we go. So this is kind of this is like a deck tan colour in my left hand that's just moving up and down. And this is more like a sort of a khaki type colour. And you got this from time to time. They were never the same twice. Well, they were, but you frequently got them like this where they would be really quite variable. However, there are much worse examples than this, which I shall show you in a moment. So, probably wanted to see the fuselage, which is the same on both kits. I might as well show you that while I'm zooming in. I just want to say, I'm not going to go through them in quite as much detail like a review like I did in the first show, because I'm going to show you a lot more kits, so we just don't have time for that. You can always just, I'll show you the instructions. You can, if you want to look at it in more detail, you can freeze frame it, put it on pause, you know. But I won't be sort of spending a huge amount of time looking at the instructions and things like that. Have a look at this though. I've actually got a bit of flash there. So this is your fuselage and your nose. It hasn't got a clear window for the nose, but it has got the actual panel line for it. I don't know if you can see that. We know Airfix have done a bit of a better job than that. Now the actual aircraft is fine, but there's just little hints here and there. The nose is kind of a hint as well, but it's just basically looking to me like the French, the Jaguar International, I think they called it, didn't they, in fact, because they were going to use it for export, rather than the RAF GR1. Just little subtle things. But there you go, so you can see there that you've got, just going back to those parts that are not the same, there's your engine, there's your jet pipes there in the middle, and you can see the different colour, can't you? I've got to be honest, I think I prefer this sort of more of a creamy colour, like a caramel colour, to that. So there we have it. Some variation in the process from Matchbox. For sure, there's the pilot. He's quite a rudimentary seat, although it's not as rudimentary as some others we've seen. And yes, so you've got a little bit of variation in the printing, and a little bit of variation there in the plastic colour. I mean, I can only imagine that is, you know, they've been using the actual polystyrene pellet melting machine, and they've probably gone from another kit where it's been on grey, that grey tan colour, and then they've just not thought, and they've gone and swapped it across, and this is the next run and do 150 Jaguar models, you know. Anyway, let's zoom in on the instructions, which are very nice. And strangely, talking about inconsistencies, it's now got like a mirror image of the artwork, now taking off from right to left, which is the opposite, isn't it? Oh yeah, Brigo. I said Dassault. I always do this. It was Brigo, wasn't it? Not Dassault. There it is. British Aircraft Corporation and the Brigo Aviation Corporation. So those are the two companies that made it. And I'll give you a bit of the write-up here because it's quite interesting. It says, the aircraft was manufactured by BAC and Brigo Aviation Incorporation. And my father was working at BAC at Wharton when they did this aircraft. But unlike TSR2 and the Bloodhound and the Strike Master Provost, I can't claim he worked on this. He didn't work on the Jag, much to his annoyance, because he saw that as being the next best thing after TSR2 would be the Jaguar, and he didn't get to work on that, so I think he was a bit annoyed. He did leave them after about 18 months. I think he was a bit cheesed off. He was lucky he kept his job at all, because a lot of people after TSR2 lost their jobs, but anyway, I digress. Fulfills a multiple requirement for a modern close sport attack aircraft and an advanced trainer. The attack version has a number of variants, both land and carrier use. Well, this was a French idea, which never came to proper fruition in the end. Was it going to have folding wingtips? I can't remember. But it wasn't really well suited to carry landings. It couldn't do short landing. And it says it's equipped with a comprehensive array of computers and electronic systems. The S model, depicted here, has a laser, with an AR at the end, telemetry unit in the nose. Prototype EQ1 flew in September '68, and the other prototypes have accumulated an impressive number of flying hours. Deliveries for the RAF are scheduled for mid-1973. Scheduled as in the future, so I was right. This is why it's got these errors on it, because this was actually a punt they took based on the prototype that they see at the air show, and obviously done some measurements on it. but it clearly wasn't in service when this kit came out. So I reckon that this was being designed around 71, mid-late 71 probably, the kit I mean. The aircraft can carry a wide range of underwing stores, and in this case they're all French ones, but anyway, there we go. So there you go, there's a bit of background for you. So in case you ever wondered why the Jag looks a bit odd, and why you sort of scratch your head, it says BACS Jaguar. Well, S is for Sepacat, which is the actual company that was formed. It doesn't mention the word Sepacat, it doesn't, does it? Now they call it the BACS. You see, again, that dates it. Instead of using the title Sepacat, which is the conglomerate company of the two, that hadn't even been established, and the S it's almost like it's a code word. They don't want to use the name because it probably wasn't officially approved or something. Isn't it interesting? It really is an eye-opener, to be honest. Anyway, let me get those back into their boxes and we'll move on. Because we've got one or two strange problems with Matchbox here. Wait till you see the Buccaneer. We're going to talk about the artwork. Bloody problems. Sorry folks, but you're going to have to bear with me. Talking about the artwork, but that's the least of its problems. I'll tell you that now. Because of course famously this is one of the ones where people got very upset. There were written complaints, and this particular canopy is on a sprue, and that one isn't. How odd! It's very neat though. You wouldn't know. Anyway, put that back in there. So that's one Jag. It says Mark 1. That's the box it's referring to. So there we go. That's a beautiful Jag. Put this one back, which is exactly the same, apart from that colouring difference. So I have got a third one. The box is a bit more scruffy than that one, I think. These are the two minter ones. The fantastic Matchbox stand. We'll have a look at that in a later episode and look at the Harriers. We'll have a Harrier, finished Harrier, one that I've even painted. Miracles will never cease. I actually painted, built a kit and painted it as well. I didn't cut corners really. Not like me. What's going on here? I'm in a bit of trouble. We are having a bit of a problem here. There we go, we're in there. Right, so that's Jaguars. Jags. Now, Buccaneers. Now then, we're going to have some real serious problems. Now, we've got two here now that it's quite clear when you look at the artwork. This one, I think, has been probably in a shop window at some point. It's a bit faded. When I compare them, you can see what I mean. It's also a little bit bashed, whereas the bottom box is pretty much mint. Can you see the difference? Yeah. That's pretty clear, isn't it? Now, of course, the big issue with this kit was that little boys, i.e. me and probably many of you, were not very happy when they got their Buccaneer, only to discover that it's got all these bombs on it. What's it got? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's got 3. It's got 12 bombs on it, and then they open the box thinking, isn't that dramatic, I want that. And then they open the box and there's not a single bomb in there. Not very good Matchbox. Clearly something went wrong between the artist, Roy Huxley. Was it Doug Post, this one? Do you know, I think this was Doug Post. I think it was Doug Post, not Roy Huxley, in fact. Something went wrong anyway between the artist and the sort of spec for the... oh, got some aftermarket takeouts on this one. The spec for the job and the actual reality. Now, let us see. This now, one of these is actually... oh, it's got a part off the sprue. It is a bash box. Oh, it's got both the... oh, okay. We've got both of the fuselage sides are off the sprue. Well, let's just pop this together, see if it's any good. Does it go together? It does. They just almost snap in. It needs some trimmings. It's got some sprue marks on it. But even something else that you notice. Look at this. People are going to be shouting on the screen. Saying, he's building it. He's building it. He's a hypocrite. Look at this. Look at the sprue gate contact point. Look very, very carefully where it is on the two different halves. It's not in exactly the same place, which I think is a good idea. Can you see that? It's staggered. But look at the fit. It's instantly a really good fit. It says. I'm just getting it aligned properly. Wasn't expecting to do this with these glasses, you see. Oh, and I'm talking rubbish about the alignment on the screw gate contact points. It was just that I didn't have it lined up properly, so I was talking gibberish. Sorry about that. Anyway, the important thing is, that feels now completely solid. You only need to lick a tiniest bit of glue. Not like what we all used to do, of course. And it will really, that feels almost as one already. Now, of course, the only disappointment on this kit versus the Airfix one of the time was this Bombay. The Bombay door, which doesn't rotate. On the Airfix one it did, which was a bit of a shame. But the Airfix kit was, 72nd scale, was the Navy version. So it was more kind of appropriate that we need this rotating Bombay door on display. Anyway, try and fix in your mind the colours again when I said about colours. So we've got a sprue here. These are both off the sprue, unfortunately, in this case. Then we have a sprue which has got the inboard wing sections and the gear bay area and your tail. So it's got this is exactly what I said they should have done with the aircraft, the model I looked at yesterday. What was it? The one that was all green, and I said it looked absolutely... Oh, the Stuka, yeah. Where they should have split the top and bottom of the wing. Well, they've done it here. So you see my point, can't you? They were doing that. So this is the top wing is blue, and underneath it's white. That's the idea, which I think's... is that correct, or is it the other way around? No, I'm wrong. It's the other way around. Okay, this is the underwing. See, it's got the pitot where the pitot goes there. So this is underneath. It's suddenly this is looking a bit stupid. Underneath it's now blue, and on the top, Royal Navy white. Okay. But there's a problem. Now then, this is where people are going to sort of spit out the beer and have a good laugh. There's a bit of a problem because actually, when you see the actual artwork, which tells you what the colours, what it's going to look like, that's a completely different order of those parts. So the tail's not supposed to be blue, it's supposed to be white, the vertical fin. And the nose is supposed to be white, but it's not, it's blue. So there's your tail, and there's your nose here. And the tail vertical fin is blue, and it should be white. And then the top of the wing and the top of the elevator, the horizontal stabilizer, should be dark blue, and it's not, it's all white. See what I mean? It's absolutely bonkers. So somebody's got their numbers of the extruder going to which injection molding machine. A little bit confused here. A little bit confused. Now, many of you will be shouting at the screen saying, yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? Which it doesn't, in the bigger scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. Till you open this one. And then you realise, because you're probably thinking, well, maybe they got the artwork wrong. You know, maybe it's just the artwork that's wrong. No, it's not the artwork that's wrong, because on this one they've got it right. Now then, this is where I zoom in and you get quite an amusing comparison. So here we go again. This has got this is the lower wing and all the lower surfaces and the vertical fin. And here's the other kit, the same parts. See what I mean? Complete discombobulation between the two. It doesn't matter when you're building one of them, and if you're going to paint it, it doesn't matter a jot really. But it is a bit baffling, isn't it? It's quite clear that there's a little bit of inconsistency, yeah? See what I mean? And then just have a look at the other parts just to see if there's any other... Yes, again, so obviously, again, we've got a difference here, big difference. So this one I've just shown you is in white for the tailplane. And the top wing is white, and here the tailplane, the top wing is all in blue. Very confusing. And just to finally mash things right up, we've got this beautiful baby blue for the fuselage, whereas of course before we had it in the dark blue. So it all gets a little bit mind-boggling, really. I say it doesn't matter if I didn't have multiple examples of it. And is the third example different again? I've got a feeling the third example is different again. So it's like, depending on who's on a shift at the factory in 1973, depends on what colour you're going to get, you know. It's not like a Ford Model T where you can have any colour as long as it's black. You might get any colour, it's like a lucky dip. Right, so What's in there? Something is wobbling about. That is our... That goes in there. And you get these back in the right order. I don't want to mix up and have one that's got bits missing. But it's quite amusing, isn't it, really, to think that, you know, you think of mass production, manufacturing, things like this, that everything is very tightly controlled and what have you. And sometimes I suppose it just isn't, you know. Right, so that's got that set. And did you also notice that that was the orange instructions, which is correct? And in this one, they're white for no apparent reason. And we've got some fairly terrible, zoom in for this, some fairly terrible instructions. Decals, I mean. They don't look awful, but marginal on these, I think. A bit marginal whether they're working or not. So you've got your, not terribly well printed in white either, your small parts guide, painting guide. And you've got your full description here. Blum, blum, blum. Buccaneer's been in service since 1965. Good Lord. Like me. Good Lord. Right, okay. Sorry. Just realised you're on green screen. Can't have that. Sorry about that. So it says, talking about the boundary layer technology, blah, 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 blah. Area rule techniques to give smooth transonic characteristics, because it wasn't supersonic, of course, apart from in a dive. Anyway, there we go. So, quick look at the instructions. Very quick look. Usual thing: pilot into seat, and the navigators at the back, and weapons officer. Put that into the fuselage. You've got your air brakes, which sadly don't split, which was another shame, I think, on this. Pretty sure the Airfix one did split the air brake, so really the Airfix kit was the better kit if you wanted detail. And I have to be honest, I was very, very disappointed by this kit, mainly because of the bombs, but also that splitting thing on the air brake, because I lived a mile from RAF Honington and they flew over my house with the air brakes wide open, you know, carrying all sorts of stores, slipper tanks and bombs sometimes. If they were going on exercise, they'd come over with live weapons on over my house. I had some pretty bad nightmares when I was a kid. But yeah, it was interesting times. But they didn't really put a lot of detail into this kit. They did cut corners a little bit in Matchbox, which is not like them really. And they did the same with the Mirage, and I think that upset a lot of people as well, including me again. Right, anyway, let's get that put away. Would you wonder if you'd like me to look at the third Buccaneer just to see if that is actually the same or not? If I can just lay my hands on it for a second, bear with me. Just bear with me one moment. The other one has got a lovely box, by the way. In fact, one of the nicest boxes. There we are. See that? So this is the third Buccaneer. What's the colours? Let's just have a quick look. Yes. Now it's got the normal colours. As per this one. White nose. As per this one, sorry. This one is correct and this one's correct. It's this one that's got these couple of items off the sprue that is the odd man out. It's got some massive variability, I don't know why. Anyway, that's Buccaneers and Jags. What I will do, if you will just indulge me, because it's important that I know it's a bit frustrating when you're watching a video and somebody starts packing stuff away, but it has to be done because otherwise I'll have complete disorganisation. And Ron Dennis would not like that, to be honest. Let me just pop that. Oh, there's no window in that box. That's how bad that one is. It's quite beat up, this one. It's like the ugly duckling of the Buccaneers. But that I could build that. What? Don't be ridiculous! I'll go straight to hell if I do that. What are you thinking of? It's 1973 original. Box might be a little bit shabby. It's lucky I kept it and didn't sell it. But I could do, you know, if I ever get an inclination, which could well happen, I need a bit of space, I might build it. Just to, I've got those spare decals. Now why did I get them? I must have been thinking about building it, otherwise I wouldn't have bothered acquiring them. So there we go. Anyway, that's all very strange, isn't it? That you've got so much difference. So the only difference in the cover, in the artwork, is that it's been a little bit faded by light, and it should look like that one. So, okay, so bear with me just 2 ticks. I will just, oops, just remove those. Here's some of those packs I was talking about, the silica gel packs, which I use to help keep the moisture out, and it does work brilliantly effectively. I've heard people say to me in the past, oh, they only work once and then they use... Well, I'm sorry, I've had these for years and everything's as dry as a bone. It's been absolutely fantastic, really. You know, what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom you in while I'm just messing about. Let you have a look at the Firefly while I get rid of these Jags. And we will be off on our next mission. Right, okay. Now then, what do you want to see next? Well, we've got a tank out, so why don't we... I can't open this one because it's sealed, obviously, but I think there might be one we can look at. And I bet most of you have had this kit. Have we got one? Looking in the box. I've got here a box of goodies. One of my boxes. Let's have a look. Forgive the slightly shabby box. There be many treasures within this box, though. A comet. There is a Firefly. There is indeed a Firefly. We've got 2 T-34s and 3 Panthers. They're actually relatively rare, the Panther. Not impossible to get hold of, but relatively rare. You don't see as many of the Panther as you do of the others. I had to wait and keep picking them out to actually get a couple of nice ones. I've got one that's in a sealed packet like this Firefly. So if you just bear with me, it's quite tricky actually. There's another one of these silica gel packs, anti-moisture, and see how small they are? Very useful. Absolutely ideal for your models. This is proving to be more mature than I was expecting. There we go. Sherman Firefly. What could you want? And a comet. Oh, come on. Now I had 3 comets, but I built one of them, so that's why I'm down to 2. Now then, what I should have done, of course, is to bring those out for you. So what I might do, to keep this video not being too long, I might just, I'll just show you this Firefly. I think we'll move on with the comet into the next. I'll just split the videos and we'll have a separate one where you can see the finished product. Because I know that some of you do like to see them, especially if you've not done one yourself before. So let's go with the Sherman Firefly. So, sometimes I've got so many. Well, I don't know when to stop really. I don't know where to start, when to stop. Let's just hope you enjoy it, having a look at them. So here's the Firefly coming up the beach on D-Day. Isn't that impressive? This is Roy Huxley, one of his finest, really. It's right up there, isn't it? Probably that's at Arromanches. Interesting how it's got sort of artillery shells raining down. I'm not sure by the time the Fireflies arrived that that there was any resistance left on the beach at Arromanches. I think they'd already beaten it back. The combination of the initial waves, you know. Yeah, they're kind of showing it under fire. Anyway, it says Sherman tanks of the Coldstream Guards move off the beaches during the invasion of Europe, June the 6th, 1944. There you go. On the side, got the Coldstream Guards markings shown, and then this is original boxing with the complete with the window. 1973 Lesney Product Company Limited, and of course you get your diorama bridge as well. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, some rubber band tracks coming out. At least there's no clear parts to worry about. So, there we go. Sherman Firefly. Totally original, in purple range. Firefly was a British modification of the famous American Sherman tank and was most extensively used in the Normandy campaign and D-Day invasion. About 600 Shermans were modified in this way to take the British 17-pounder gun. And these played a vital part against German Panther and Tiger tanks. Initially there was one Firefly allocated to each group of tanks. I think there was one for every 4, wasn't there? So it would be the 5th tank, in other words. On the back we have got our decaling guide, which is quite nicely done. We've got, whoops, that's the decals themselves. Then we've got our small parts guide here, which is pretty straightforward. I mean, nearly everything on this tank, apart from the sort of tyre treads on the road wheels, everything else is pretty much deep bronze green. They quote Humbrol colours, don't they? HP4. So what you do with this, you don't have a bathtub style, you build it up, you put your bogies together with your road wheels, your drive sprockets, and then you attach your rubber band tracks. Then you're going to fit all your road wheels onto the chassis, put your turret on and your 17-pounder Firefly gun, fitting the mantlet over it, and then it amazes me how small they show this actually. It's the biggest pieces in the kit, and they show it in this little tiny box. Got to zoom it in, look. So this is your bridge and your roadway that you've got to build up, the diorama, and then ultimately that's it. You just bring the top hull down, and it's just one piece. Very simple kit, this, isn't it? Bring your turret down. You've just built the top hull there. Part 21 is just one great big section with everything moulded into it. Add your little spare tracks on the front and the headlight. Stowage box at the rear, and that's it. Dump it back on your chassis, and that's it, done. One Sherman Firefly. So let's have a look at the actual parts. Well, first of all, we'll have a look at the tracks, I think. I have got a very bad history, a very bad track record. Boom, boom. In the true sense of spirit of Basil Brush. Some of you will remember that poor old John Bevan's Honey Stewart tracks, which was unusual because they were like a metallised silver, and that was the problem. They seemed to, I think they only did it on 2 or 3 of the tanks models, and they'd go hard over time, and these don't. These remain like really soft, just rubber, you know. But the silver, obviously there's some sort of thing in the pigment that must make it age harden. I didn't know this, and I got them out and went ping, ping, ping. All very embarrassing. Anyway, for me, less said about it the better, really. So if any of you got the Honey Stewart, which I've got one somewhere, I think it's a sealed one, just be advised you probably won't be able to use the tracks in truth, because they were just a solid piece of plastic. So there's your Sherman tracks, which are actually okay, to be honest. They do the job, you know, and they're not going to ping off and snap like the others did. Then we've got our main sprue, which has got all the green parts on. So here's your main upper hull with everything moulded into it. Of course there's no machine gunner's position here. They changed everything around in the Firefly, didn't they, so they could stow extra ammunition. So it has a machine gun in the turret, but it doesn't have one in the lower hull. And here is the turret itself. Now somebody, I don't know if it was Moz, was it? Somebody recently, in the last year or so, did a review of the Revell version of this, and it looked bloody awful to me. It looked terrible. I don't know if any of you saw it. It was very flashy looking, and this is a 1973 original. But this was like probably done in the last 5 or 10 years by Revell, of course, because they reissued them under this first diorama name, you know. But it looked very poor, the actual condition of the tool. And there was a lot of looked like a lot of cleanup would be needed, a lot of flash appearing. So just be advised if you do get one of these Revell ones that they're not always that great and not as good as the originals, I'm afraid, to be honest. Which is a shame, you know. I think they ought to make a bit more effort and clean up the tool, really. Anyway, what you've got here, you've got a little bit of a grass verge You've got two sides of it that go either side of the roadway and the bridge parapet. You've obviously got your parts of your bogies, you've got your drive sprockets there, and you've got your main glasses for the turret here where the gun 17 pounder comes out. And where is the 17 pounder? Oh, it's there. Where my thumb is. I couldn't even see it. I was thinking, where's the gun? Where's the gun? Oh, it's hiding under my thumb. It's here at the bottom. Look. There it is. You see it by its muzzle. Here. Gosh, it's quite subtle, isn't it? I'm not used to such small scale kit. The only flash, it's just filled in a bit. And I don't know if you can tell this actually. Maybe if I put this behind, you might be able to see what I'm talking about. If you look at the muzzle there, it's just filled in. There is actually a hole. Not at the end, sadly. It's not been like slide molded like they would do today. It's quite hard to focus on it. But the actual side flash eliminator slots, they are actually there. It's just that it's filled in a bit, unfortunately. It's quite hard to focus. It doesn't like to green on green, does it? Sorry about that. Yeah, so anyway, the point I'm making, you just need to drill that out just to clean it up and probably drill out the muzzle at the end as well. And then last but not least, you've actually got your bridge parapet on the other sprue, which is nicely done, and this is one of the things that gave it such charm. I mean, when I got this the first time, I think it was one of the first Matchboxes. It may be if it wasn't the second, it was the third kit I ever had. It was certainly the first of the armour kits. And I thought this was absolutely amazing, this diorama scene, you know. And here you've got this great big stretch of roadway that forms the bridge, or the start of the bridge, before it's been blown away. Obviously the final thing looks like this. And it's brilliant, isn't it? You know, it's absolutely fantastic, especially when you're not used to dioramas. To have a kit at this price, well, I was paying 25p I think at the time, in 1973. So this, I probably had this around about Easter 73, I'm thinking, probably the first time I had my hands on it. Which is probably going to make some of you feel a bit old, or rather make you think I'm a bit old. I'm not the only one. Colin Berry, yeah, and others. I know how old you all are. Right, here's the decals. So you've got the desert. Can you see that? That's the desert. Where is it? The desert rats. Where is it? It's really hard to make it out. Oh, it isn't the desert rats, is it? I beg your pardon. It's not the desert rats. There's two choices. So it's the Coldstream. Sorry, it's the. Just look at what it says, chap. Coldstream Guards. And the second, Fife and Yeomanry. Fife and Forfar Yeomanry, I should say, from Scotland. I could have sworn it was the Desert Rats. Maybe that's on another kit I've seen. It has the Desert Rat on it. Anyway, there we go. So that is your D-Day and Battle of Normandy campaign, Sherman Firefly. And that's PK71. In other words, that is literally kit number 1 in the armour range. Yeah, because they start with the 7. The 71 is the first kit. So you have there, yes, quite an impressive kit, it has to be said. I'm going to just pop that back like so. It's easy to get this back in because you haven't got all the clear parts and stands and things. So I think that was a really nice kit for £25. Somebody told me yesterday that they paid 23p for theirs. Incredible. I mean, that is proper value for money, isn't it? So what could you get for 23p back in the day? Well, you could probably get a large bar of chocolate, a big bar of chocolate, like Fruit and Nut or something, those giant ones, you know. You could probably get probably the same price as a packet of fish fingers, something like that. I mean, when you think about it like that, you know, they were good value, weren't they? They were cheap as chips, literally. Cheap as fish fingers, anyway. Oh, here we go. This one to go in there, does it? The tracks are just a little bit awkward, aren't they? Because they're a bit grippy. So you talk amongst yourselves. I know what the problem is here. I know what the problem is here. I need to swap around the way it's gone in. Just keep it simple and do it like that. There we go. That's it. How can it be? There's no clear parts, there's no stand. What the hell's going on? Look, come on. Stop being ridiculous. Do it like that. I think that's clear. We just put the decals in a position so they're not going to get damaged. You never know. One day I might be selling this. Or somebody might be selling it on my behalf, if you know what I mean. Gonna get top price for it, girl. That's all I can say. Got it. There we go. Beautiful. So there's that one. I'd say we've got one that's in the shrink wrap there. The Comet. I'm going to leave the Comet. I'm going to call it a day at that because I want to get the Comet out and give you some examples of the finished ones for you to enjoy as well. I think I'm in heavy weather on that, to be honest. Anyway, it gives you a flavour and a bit of a mixture. So what I'm going to do next time, we'll look at some of the tanks. We're going to have a look at the Corsair and probably the Harrier, all of which I've got finished. Some painted, some not so painted. And we'll take it from there. Anyway, I hope you found it interesting. Having this little nostalgic look, some kit porn, going down memory lane, looking at some happy memories from our childhood, shall we say, for a lot of us, I'm sure. Some of these armour kits, as I say, you can still get them today. Yeah, I was having a bit of a moan about the cleanliness of the tooling, but it's not a huge amount of work to clean them up, and you can pick them up now for about £10 or £12. Of course, Revell were trying to sell them for £22, £23. Don't ask me what they thought they were doing there, but the prices do seem to have dropped because people just weren't prepared to pay them. I mean, if you're going to pay £22, frankly, some places you could probably pick up a genuine one, an original one for that price. So why would you want the Revell in single colour with a flashy tooling? You wouldn't, would you? Anyway, there we go. That's Matchbox March Part 2. I hope you thought it was interesting. I hope you thought that found it interesting about this strange business where sometimes they got the plastic colours all mixed up and didn't go according to the scheme as intended. And anyway, stick with me. I'll be back again very soon to show you some more. We'll get on to some orange aircraft and there'll be lots more tanks. And as we go along, we'll have some bigger and more expensive kits and maybe have even a ship. And we'll probably have a car or two to look at as well. So stick around. Hope to see you again in the near future. And until next time, well, there'll be lots more fun things to look at from Matchbox from the early 70s. Stay safe, stay well. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again all very soon. In the meantime, thanks a lot, and bye for now.